Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're venturing into, well, somewhere a bit different. A bit darker, maybe.
Definitely darker. We're looking at some really unsettling first-hand accounts from Brazil.
Yes, stories that kind of sit right on the edge of what we think is real. You get this feeling of, I don't know, wonder mixed with a definite creepiness.
And our goal isn't really to prove or disprove anything, right? It's more about listening. Listening to these people, these experiences.
Exactly. These are reports from everyday Brazilians about encounters with, well, the unexplained, ghosts, maybe something else, folklore creatures.
It's a real mix. And what strikes me is how recent some of these are. These aren't just old legends, they're things people say happened to them.
Okay, so let's start with this first one. It involves a woman named Leticia P. Lopes. She's 32, a pedagogue.
And her story is intense. It starts with her waking up in her bedroom.
But not in her bed. She describes being levitated, like suspended just above her mattress.
Can you imagine that feeling physically there, but also floating? Detached?
Uh-huh. But it wasn't just the floating, that was just the start. She saw something.
Right, a vulto, she calls it. It's a common term in Brazil for a kind of shadowy figure.
Describe that a bit more. What did it look like?
She said it was like a silhouette, dark, but where the face should have been, just a white blotch, a blur.
No features.
None. And the body was sort of indistinct too, like it just faded out from that white blur. Really unsettling imagery.
And this Volto wasn't passive. It interacted with her.
Oh, definitely. She felt it grab her arm, physically grab her,
And then,
started pulling her towards the bedroom door.
wow, so she fought back.
Yeah, she says she desperately grabbed onto furniture, the closet, a picture frame on the wall, trying to anchor herself.
It was pulling her?
Relentlessly, yeah. And all this time, it was making these sounds.
What kind of sounds?
Strange, guttural noises. Not words exactly, just sounds.
That's terrifying. And there's more, isn't there? About it coiling around her.
Uh-huh. She felt it wrap around her, and then she heard or felt it communicate something truly chilling.
What was that?
Something like, "I'm taking you away, and I'll come back to hurt you."
Oh my God, that's direct. Menacing.
Absolutely. And the strangest part, or maybe another strange part,
Go on.
she was screaming for help the whole time. But her housemates in the next rooms
They didn't hear anything.
heard nothing. It was like it was happening in a bubble, completely silent to the outside world.
That isolation adds another layer of fear, doesn't it?
It really does. And she says, understandably, she's still scared to sleep alone because of it.
I don't blame her. That sense of being trapped in your own terror, unheard.
It's a recurring theme in some paranormal accounts, that sense of subjective reality almost. Or maybe something else screening the event. Who knows?
Okay, let's shift gears slightly, but stay with the unsettling. This next one is from Laís Beranti, a student, about something that happened when she was just 6 years old.
Right, her 6th birthday. Her family had this tradition, celebrating right at 10 p.m. the time she was born.
A nice family tradition. But this year was different.
Very different. She remembers feeling weird all day, anxious, and she had this unusual back pain.
Strange for a 6-year-old.
Exactly. So her parents decided to celebrate a bit earlier, let her get to bed sooner.
Probably thought she just needed rest.
Right, but waking up in the middle of the night, that's when things got really bad.
What happened?
She woke up in intense pain. Arms, legs, neck, just searing pain.
Yeah.
And worse.
Worse.
She felt stuck, like her limbs were glued to the bed. She couldn't move them.
Paralyzed.
That's how it felt to her. And then, in the dim light, she saw something.
Oh no. What?
Snakes, coiled around her legs, her wrists, her neck, tight.
Snakes in her bed. Or was it a vision?
It seemed utterly real to her in that moment, terrifyingly real. But then something even stranger happened.
Go on.
She had this Barbie doll, a favorite apparently. It was on a shelf across the room.
Yeah.
It started to float off the shelf towards her bed, just floating through the air.
Floating. By itself.
That's what she describes. And as it got closer,
Hmm.
its little plastic arms started to melt, deform.
Melt. Was there a fire?
Heat.
No! That's the thing. No fire, no heat source she could see. The doll was just melting as it floated towards her.
That is profoundly weird. What did she do?
She thinks she fainted, actually. The shock was just too much.
I can understand that. And the next morning,
The next morning, the vision, the paralysis was gone. But there were marks.
physical marks. Yeah.
A red mark around her neck where she'd seen the snake. Strange marks on her wrists, welts on her legs, like she'd been held down.
Like restraints, matching the snake vision.
Exactly. And the Barbie.
What about the doll?
It was on the floor,
Mm.
and its arms were definitely physically melted and deformed.
Whoa. Okay, that's tangible evidence, not just a bad dream.
Right. Both she and her mother, who Lais describes as sensitive, felt something was deeply wrong with the doll after that. They threw it away?
I would too. Did that stop the experiences?
Apparently not entirely. Lais mentions this was just the first of several strange things that happened to her later, sometimes involving other toys too. So maybe it wasn't the doll itself, but something attached or attracted to her.
It raises that question, doesn't it? The marks, the melted doll.
Yeah.
It suggests something interacting with the physical world in a way that's hard to explain away.
Okay, moving from bedrooms to the great outdoors.
Ah.
A river, specifically, the Rio San Francisco.
Ah, yes. A river steeped in legend and folklore in Brazil. This account is from Angela Pereira. She's 67 now, but this happened over 30 years ago.
She was with her husband.
Yes, swimming in a remote part of the river. Now, this river, the San Francisco, or Velho Chico, Old Chico as locals call it, it has stories.
What kind of stories?
Legends of non-human protectors of the river, beings that can turn into giant snakes, and the famous Nego d'Agua.
Nego d'Agua.
Yeah, literally, water black man, a kind of dark, amphibious figure said to live in the river, sometimes blamed for capsizing boats. Folklore, you know.
So Angela knew these stories.
Oh, yeah, but she said she always thought they were just that stories. Tall tales.
Until that day, I presume.
Exactly. They were just swimming, enjoying the water, when suddenly it got rough, turbulent. A strong current just appeared out of nowhere around them.
Strange. Like a localized storm.
Stranger than that. They both felt this pressure pushing up from underneath them in the water.
Like something was rising.
Precisely. And then something did rise.
What was it?
She describes a gigantic man, nude, dark skin, muscular, but also scaled.
Scaled. Like a fish.
That's the description. Scaled skin and completely bald. She said he looked young and unnervingly like the depictions of figures from the river legends.
Wow. Did it do anything?
It started shouting at them, but not in any language they recognized. Guttural, unintelligible sounds, angry sounds.
And the river.
His movements were making the water even wilder, creating currents that were pulling them down. They felt like he was trying to drown them.
Terrifying. They tried to escape.
Desperately, swimming for the shore, struggling against the pull, pure panic.
Did they make it?
Yes, they finally scrambled onto the sandy riverbank, and as soon as they were out of the water,
He disappeared.
vanished, just gone back beneath the surface.
Did anyone believe them?
Nope. They told people, but were met with total disbelief. I mean, how do you even process a story like that?
Yeah, it sounds like something straight out of mythology. Has she been back?
Never to that exact spot. She says she still swims in other parts of the river sometimes, but always says a little prayer for protection first. That fear is still very real for her.
It really blurs that line between folklore and what people insist they experienced.
It does. Was it a literal nego d'agua? A hallucination?
Yeah.
Something else entirely unknown. Whatever it was, the terror was real, the memory vivid.
Okay, one more in this vein before we move to the skies. This one involves a supposedly haunted inn.
Yes, in Paranapiacaba. A place with a reputation. This is Kelton Williams' story. He's 38 now.
He's like, he's family?
Yeah, a weekend trip. Staying in this old inn, which apparently used to be a hospital back in the day.
Old hospitals. Prime real estate for hauntings, according to tradition.
You could say that. The first night was fine, nothing happened. But the second night, around 2 a.m.,
The witching hour.
pretty much, his mother-in-law woke up. She was sharing a bunk bed with his daughter, Livy.
Okay.
The mother-in-law thought Livy was kicking the bed frame, making it shake.
But she wasn't.
No. Kelton looked. Livy was fast asleep, still, on the top bunk. And then the whole bunk bed started shaking violently.
By itself.
By itself, banging against the wall loudly.
Whoa. No earthquake or anything.
Nothing like that, just the bed going crazy. It woke everyone up, naturally. His wife and daughter were terrified.
I bet. How long did it last?
Not long, apparently. It just stopped suddenly as it started.
Leaving. Silent.
Eerie silence. He mentioned they were the only guests in the inn that night, too, which probably made it feel even more isolated and weird.
Did they talk to the owner?
Yeah, the next morning. And the owner's reaction was interesting.
Oh, so.
Kind of dismissive, but also a bit cryptic. Said something like, you should be more afraid of the living than the dead.
Almost acknowledging something might be there, but downplaying it.
Exactly. And Kellerton adds that Paranapiacaba itself is famous for ghost stories. It was an old British-built railway town in the 19th century.
So local legends.
Yeah, tales of phantom trains in the fog, the ghost of an old railway engineer, that kind of thing. The shaking bed just adds to the local lore, I guess.
Another instance where the environment itself seems charged somehow.
Right. Whether it's energy, folklore becoming tangible, or something else, these stories all push against the boundaries of the easily explainable.
Okay, let's shift focus now. Upwards. To the skies. This next account is quite different.
Yes, this one involves a UFO sighting, or UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. It's from Ana Prudente, a former flight attendant.
She worked for VASP, a Brazilian airline.
That's right. This happened when she was very young, just 18, back in what she calls the golden age of Brazilian aviation, flying on a Boeing 737.
Where was the flight going?
From São Paulo to Belém, up near the Amazon Delta with a stop in Brasilia.
And the incident happened when?
Around 3 a.m., deep into the flight, passengers mostly asleep. She gets called to the cockpit.
Expecting a coffee request or something.
Probably. But when the cockpit door opened, she was hit by this incredibly bright light, so bright she had to physically shield her eyes.
A light inside the cockpit? Or coming from outside?
Coming from outside. The captain explained what was happening. This light had approached their plane at immense speed.
Like dangerously fast.
So fast they thought they were going to collide with whatever it was, but then it just stopped.
Stopped. Dead in the air.
Dead stop. Hovering just a few meters away from the plane, to the left of the cockpit, slightly above them.
Incredible maneuverability. Could they see what it was? The source?
Anna described the light itself as intensely white. Not really a defined round shape, more a presence of light, but inside it.
Inside.
She saw these beautiful rays, she said, blue and pink like neon swirling inside the white light.
Wow. And the plane systems.
Radio was dead. Completely out. The co-pilot was trying everything to contact the ground, contact Brasilia base, but nothing. Total radio silence.
Just them and this light. How long did it stay?
About 10 minutes, she estimates. 10 minutes just hanging there beside them. Then the light started to fade, dim down.
And then it left.
Moved away rapidly to the right and just gone. Vanished.
At the radio.
Came right back on instantly as soon as the light was gone.
Like it was causing the interference.
Seems likely. But there was a physical effect, too.
On the true.
Yes. Anna noticed her face and the exposed parts of her upper body felt like they were sunburned. Hot, irritated skin.
Sunburned at 3 a.m. inside a plane.
Exactly. And the captain reported the same thing, just on the areas not covered by their uniforms.
That's bizarre. What did the airline do?
They reacted very quickly, ordered the entire crew off the plane at the next stop, Belém, flew in replacements.
They pulled them from duty immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Send them back to Sao Paulo on the next commercial flight. Then medical exams at the Air Force Hospital.
Military involvement. Interesting.
And a strict gag order. They were told very clearly, do not talk about this to anyone. Or face denial, ridicule, maybe lose their job.
The cover-up, essentially. Did the medical tests find anything? Radiation?
Apparently not. Tests came back negative for radioactivity, but the sunburn effect remains unexplained.
Did Anna ever see anything like that again?
She mentioned seeing other strange lights near planes during her career, but never, ever that close or that intense. That Amazon encounter was unique.
What a story. Trained observers, physical effects, equipment malfunction, official secrecy. It ticks a lot of boxes for a significant UAP event.
It really does. It's a compelling account, especially with the multiple witnesses and the physical evidence, however strange.
Okay, our final story takes us into perhaps the most debated territory of the unexplained. Potential alien abduction.
Yeah, this is Cristiano Reis's experience. He's a systems analyst, 30 years old. This started for him back in mid-2016.
How did it begin? Anything dramatic?
Not initially. It started with feeling physically unwell, dizzy, bad headaches, body aches all over.
Like the flu.
He compared it to a really bad hangover, but the thing was, he hadn't been drinking at all or done any strenuous exercise. It came out of nowhere.
Okay, that's odd. Anything else?
Yes. Unexplained bruises started appearing on his body.
Where? Randomly.
Specifically around his wrists and ankles. He said they looked exactly like marks from being restrained, tied down.
And he couldn't explain them? No accidents?
He lived alone, had a very regular routine, no bumps or falls he could recall. It was a complete mystery.
So weird physical symptoms, mysterious bruises. Then what?
Then came the dreams, although he became convinced they weren't just dreams.
What were they like?
He'd see himself lying on a gurney, like in a hospital or maybe a lab, a very sterile, bright place.
And was he alone?
No, there were figures. Silhouettes, he couldn't make out details, just shapes observing him.
And the restraints.
In these dreams, or visions, his arms and legs were tied down. At the exact spots, wrists and ankles, where the real bruises were appearing on his body.
Whoa, that's a direct correlation.
A very disturbing one. He described the state as dreamlike, but with flashes of full consciousness, intense awareness, and always these incredibly bright white lights.
So he started thinking these weren't dreams.
Exactly. It felt too real, too connected to the physical marks. He started writing everything down, every detail he could remember as soon as he woke up.
Trying to piece it together.
Right. And he started researching online, talking to people in forums who described similar things.
And found parallels.
Lots of them. The feeling of paralysis, the examination setting, the indistinct figures, the bright lights, the unexplained marks, the feeling of lost time sometimes. It all seemed to fit a pattern often associated with alleged alien abduction scenarios.
So he came to believe.
He came to believe he was being visited, taken somehow, and studied by extraterrestrial beings for about 4 weeks straight.
4 weeks of this, that must have been terrifying.
Unimaginably stressful, I'd think. The physical pain, the bruises, the disturbing visions, the feeling of violation.
Did it stop?
Yes. As suddenly as it began, the dream stopped, the bruises faded, and just ended.
Leaving him with what?
With
Answers. Confusion.
mostly confusion and the memory of a completely bizarre, unsettling period in his life. A feeling that something profound and strange had happened, even if he couldn't fully grasp it.
It's a challenging account because it's so subjective, yet the physical elements, the bruises, are hard to dismiss entirely.
Exactly. It sits in that uncomfortable space between internal experience and potential external interaction.
So reflecting on all these stories, the levitating woman, the melting doll, the river giant, the shaking bed, the UFO, the possible abduction, it's quite a range.
It really is. From ghostly encounters to folklore seemingly come to life, to high strangeness in the sky and potentially beyond, all reported by ordinary people in Brazil.
And they all leave you with that feeling we mentioned at the start, that mix of awe, maybe, but definitely that slight shiver of unease, the sense that the world might be stranger than we think.
Absolutely. These accounts push against our neat categories, don't they? They blur the lines between what we consider natural and something else.
It makes you ponder, doesn't it? Consider the sheer vastness of what we don't know. Are these glimpses into other realities, myth interpretations, or something truly unknown interacting with our world?
And perhaps that's the final thought to leave you with. These stories, these experiences that defy easy answers, they invite us to question the limits of our own understanding. What else might be out there, just beyond the edges of our perception?